Romance at a glance. Romance at a glance.
What you say now?
Romance at a glance.
Go ahead, girl.
Hello, romance listeners and kinky friends. We're so happy to have you here for season 3. I'd just like to let you know that this episode was recorded last fall, so before the world turned topsy-turvy and before social distancing was a thing. All right, let's get into it.
Well, hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Romance at a Glance. Today, we are reading Pucked by Helena Hunting. I'm your host, Bridget. With me, as always, is my co-host, Shani. How you doing, Shani?
You ready to talk about this book, Bridget?
I'm ready.
You seem so excited to talk about this book all day, like the fire in your eyes.
The fire
was lit.
Is here, Shani. Okay, I just want to preface this podcast by I normally talk really fast, and I can tell you right now, I'm going to be at 1 million. I'm going to be at 1 million because I have so many thoughts and feelings about this book.
Okay.
Some of which are positive and some of which are negative. A lot of them are negative. There are some positives.
Okay.
And I think before we get into it, let's just give a quick couple stats to the folks in case they haven't read this book yet.
Okay.
All right. This is Pucked by Helena Hunting. It is technically part of a series of 5 books, the Pucked series. However, they are all standalones, so you don't actually have to read them in order.
Oh, that's great.
Which is great, but also I enjoy when by book 4, I'm like jonesing for that person to get their puck, you know?
Yes, I do know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Picking it up. I said that the genre sports romance, hockey romance. I mean, technically it's contemporary, but I do feel like it's sports romance because it plays a really important part in the story.
Yeah, and there are a lot of sports romance stories.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I feel like it's fair.
Yeah.
It's a subgenre of contemporary.
We just created it if it didn't exist
I
already.
think it maybe exists.
Oh, does it? No, I want to create something.
Let's create it.
Damn it.
We created it. Hockey romance.
Hockey romance.
Subgenre. I have a few fun facts about our author today.
Ooh.
So, her husband played hockey while they were dating.
The author?
And she's Canadian. It all makes
Wow.
sense. It all makes sense. Because if you grow up in a place where all the hot dudes are playing hockey,
Yeah.
I've met many a hockey player when I was at the University of Minnesota.
Of course you did.
And
I never met a
they
fucking...
smell terrible. No, just kidding. Their bags of shit do smell horrible.
Yeah.
My college prom date, or my high school prom date was a hockey player. But
I feel like that's only like I'm like from
you gotta be
Los
in the Midwest,
Angeles
you gotta be in the
and
North.
Florida. I'm
You gotta
like,
be
I've never met a hockey player.
North, like you gotta be like New England, the Midwest, obviously Canada.
Yeah.
Maybe the mountain states in the West play a little hockey. But yeah, it's mostly like New England and
Are they like
the
super
Midwest.
hot though?
So I mean, they run the gamut. I mean, the good things about them. I mean, they do have very strong thighs and buttocks.
See, that's all I care about, really.
A lot of thrusting
I don't even care
power.
about the face.
I have never actually had sex with a hockey player, to be fair.
Damn it, Bridget.
I'm sorry. They were very sketchy. Like, you know the way she describes all these guys being man whores?
Yeah.
At my school, to be fair, I did not know everyone on the team. However, the reputation of that team was scandalous. Escandalo. And also I was like, there's STDs flying around. I don't want to. And also like ringworm. I don't know. It felt. I don't think that's true. But I just felt like they don't.
I think
do
all
a lot
athletes.
of shaving and stuff during like like if they get a lot of superstitions in hockey.
Yeah.
So like won't wash their equipment and.
Which is really strange because like, I mean, we didn't have hockey, but like soccer team, the girls' soccer team or softball or whatever, they weren't gross. Like,
Yeah.
the girls' teams were not gross. They were showering regularly. They were leaving the lockers looking fresh and sprightly. Right. And then I also have brothers, and they're always gross.
So superstitious.
What is this?
It's because they're superstitious. They're like, I won this one game, and it must have been my socks, not like the hours and years of dedication and hard work. It had to be the fucking
Definitely
socks.
can't be that. Definitely
But
can't
it's
be
just
that.
a mind trick to convince yourself you're going to win again.
Yeah.
So I get it in that sense. I did mention she's Canadian.
Yes.
It's not really a fun fact. It's just a fact. This is the fun fact, though, for you, Shani.
Oh, hell.
She chooses all of the covers herself.
What?
And I quote, scours the internet for hot guys. Le swoon.
Ooh, but she doesn't do the photo shoot like Scarlett Pac.
I think she goes.
she goes to the photo
I think
shoot.
she does the whole shebang.
Oh, so she scours for hot guys to
Book
be
for
the
her
model.
and then chooses the photos.
Oh, I thought you meant like just, those stock images that everybody
Well,
uses.
it might be partially stock. It probably depends. Probably earlier in her career it was just stock.
Just
And
promise
then-
me if we ever write our own like romance novels,
Yeah.
we will pick the guys and go to the photo
We're in
shoot.
Los Angeles.
And be
they
slightly
want to be models,
lurky.
and they're here. They're around. We could just go to like Ralph's.
I feel like we could do a
can
shoot
go to
for no reason.
Starbucks. We could just look at the guys at the gym.
I really
Like we
hear
don't
it is
even need
pretty.
to look on the internet. We can just wander our way through Hollywood. West Hollywood.
You're right.
Boys Town.
You're right.
They're ever the beach, volleyball courts.
West Hollywood.
West Hollywood.
They
man.
are pretty.
We could go
pretty.
Runyon Canyon. If anyone
Okay,
has
as long
not
as we-
been to Hollywood,
as
I can tell you right now, Runyon Canyon, if you want a celebrity spot or you want to just see incredibly beautiful people in real life, there's a hike called Runyon Canyon. It's in Hollywood. It's pretty vertical, like up and down. It's not horrible. It's a pretty short hike. But everyone in that neighborhood who lives there uses it as like kind of their daily exercise hike. And they're all like actors and models, and they're so beautiful. They're like the
Okay.
most beautiful people you've ever seen in real life. Most of them don't have shirts because the weather is warm, girls and boys, and they
for
all
the
have
best.
cute puppies. Maybe
Listen.
70% are gay.
Listen, Bridget. This
great.
is what we're gonna do.
Do it.
We're gonna get a bag of Reese's, maybe some popcorn.
Okay.
We're gonna put on our exercise gear.
Love it.
And then we're gonna sit at the bottom of Runyon Canyon
I like exercising.
and stretch like we're about
No,
to.
we don't
go
want to be
up.
at the bottom though because that's suspicious. We want to hike to like the first area where you can like take in the view.
How long is that hike?
It's probably like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. It's not that far.
Okay, that's the threshold. We'll
Yeah.
go there.
And then you can just kind of like
And then we stretch for, like, the
And you're
next
like,
30
"Ooh, I saw
minutes
them on TV. Ooh,
while
I saw
we
them
watch."
in a movie. Ooh, they were in a Calvin Klein ad. Yeah, it's crazy.
stretch
That's where to
and
go.
eat the Reese's.
Runyon Canyon, folks. All right, that's my last fun fact.
Okay.
So based on my fun fact, I'm going to tell you right now, I thought the cover art was hotness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hot. You could see the back, the arm flex with the hockey stick over the shoulder, the sort of like side profile of the face. I was into it.
Funniest thing is, like, I didn't even know that was a hockey stick. I was looking at.
You're all BDSM. Is he going to hit her with it? Is she going to like
I was
it?
like, he's holding a stick. It's great. It took me like probably a good couple looks to be like, oh wait, that's a hockey stick, and I think his hand is wrapped with something or like whatever. I'm like, maybe hockey players do that. They wrap their hands.
I don't think
I don't care. The back muscle and the
Yeah.
neck muscle
Yeah.
are my
The
muscles.
forearm muscle.
Oh yeah.
That's mine.
Let's just say they're all.
I like the forearm.
Oh, that fat
when
forearm.
you flex that
Oh.
forearm. Flex on me.
Flex on flex on flex.
All right. So let's go quick into the plot. Okay, I'm
Wait,
going
real quick.
Okay,
because
tell me.
I want to bring up this one thing at the beginning. The narrators of this
Oh,
book.
I'm sorry. I forgot to ask you. Tell us.
Okay, so they switched back and forth between a female male narrator, and
Interesting.
the female's name was Muffy Newtown, and she was great.
Okay.
She did a really great job. Liked her a lot.
Way to go, Muffy.
But John Mclaren, I did not enjoy John Mclaren.
Oh, no.
He was supposed to be Canadian, and he went between being from like New York or New Jersey
Okay.
to being like maybe Irish, or it's basically. He basically was me when I tried to do an Australian accent, and I'm like, "Oi, mate, oi, crikey, where's the shrimp?" And then I slowly starts going into Cockney and whatever.
Oh, boy.
That's exactly what he did. Sorry for that terrible Australian accent.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry.
It's terrible.
It is what it is.
But it like starts to morph, and then it ends Jamaican for me. Like, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just stop this
Yeah.
before we offend everyone.
Okay.
I
I have a question about the narration.
He was not good.
Did they switch every chapter that was from the different perspectives, or was it their line and internal monologue?
They switched every chapter. So
Like the ones that were from his point of view that
Yeah.
I read. Interesting.
Yeah.
I actually feel like, aside from the fact that he was a bad narrator, I feel like that would be very helpful for me.
to have them switch like that.
Uh-huh.
When books started doing it in the beginning, I hated it because I wasn't used to it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the one narrator, and I still do. But I'm so used to it now that I do enjoy it if they're really good. And
Yeah.
I do love a good male narrator,
Sure.
like deep.
Sure.
Like
Give me
you
that
could
baritone.
read, you could read me the phone book ass, like
yeah. Because I'm like getting the rumbles already, and I'm
You-
like, okay, I'm on board for what we're
Exactly.
reading. I got it. No, I can see it.
yeah.
I can see it. Interesting. Okay, well, this book is about Violet. So her stepbrother is an NHL hockey player. So she's very familiar with the man whore hockey players, which her stepbro is the king of. And she basically meets one of his new teammates. Let's go Hawks on the Chicago Blackhawks. And his name is Alex Waters. And basically they like strike up a conversation. It turns out he's not an idiot. So she's like, oh shit. And then they end up making out outside. Like paparazzi and all these people are taking pictures of them. And then she's kind of like, oh, well, that'll never happen again, NBD. And then he comes to her parents' suite that she's staying in and, like, calls her and is like, oh, I'm right outside. It's 2 a.m. Nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m., people.
Or does it?
And
I mean, you know what's happening. If it's 2 a.m.,
and
you
then
know what's going down.
she goes with him, and then things sort of progress.
I love how she goes with him and he's like, we're not gonna have sex. It's not a
And then
sex
she jumps
situation.
him.
And then she's like, oh, we going to Pound Town.
She's like, I'm sorry. I wore the tightest pajamas, and you're looking at my titties. Let's do this. Let me just start off.
Wait, this book started for me with a bang though, because oh, what? Okay,
I was just gonna say that.
Okay,
I was just gonna say that. I was like, let me start off by saying I love the first like 3 or 4 chapters until she goes with him to his room, which must be like the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 chapters, something like that. I love this book.
Yeah,
I loved it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was quirky. I love that she says I should start the day off masturbating.
Yeah,
And
she
I was
does. Like the first
yes, you
scene,
should.
she
Yes,
is
you should.
masturbating, and I'm like, yes, sister, get it.
Get it.
And it set the tone for me,
Right?
for what was to come. I was like, oh, pucked, got it.
Got it. Got it. I think it's hilarious when she meets him and realizes what she knows him from is the milk ad that she masturbates to. I was like, that is so amazing. She never like tells him that though. Oh wait, no, she does because she asked for a life-size printing of it, which I was like, yeah, of course you would need that.
Yeah.
Let's just briefly touch on the terminology.
Okay.
Jilling off. Is that a Canadian thing?
It must be.
Have you ever heard anyone say that?
Never
Is
in
it
my-
because it's jacking and it's Jack and Jill?
I'm guessing so, but I've never heard that in my life. However, I have heard like sex toys that are called like Jills or stuff like that. So that's the only thing I have a reference to. But no,
Did it annoy you or did you not care?
I thought it was a Canadian thing. I chalked it up.
It was a Canadian
I
thing,
chalked it
too.
up to like if it was like Jamaican and they kept saying like Irie. I'm like, okay, well it must be a Jamaican thing. Like it's just like Canadians.
Canadians. Okay, how about these ones? Are these Canadians? You let me know. Snuffy.
What the fuck is that?
She uses it as a term for his uncircumcised penis.
Oh yeah. No.
No.
I've never heard that, but I have my own name, which is Eskimo Joe for uncircumcised
But that's
penises.
so cute.
Cause they're so cute when they got like their little hood, and when they peek out, they're like, "Is it cold out? No. Can I come out? No."
I like Eskimo Joe. Snuffy though, I'm like, that's not a sexual word.
No.
And
It
then
makes me think of a grandma.
she calls it the super MC, the super monster cock.
Oh yeah.
I didn't mind that she named it that, but I also felt like it happened too much.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's one of those things that, like, used at the right moments in the book, I would have been like, ha, that's great. And, like, the first time she said it, I was like, oh, that's funny. But it happened so much, I was like, okay.
Well, I think one of the big things for me that happened in this book was like, yes, there was a lot of sex.
A lot of fucking.
Lot of fucking. But they did not have things in common.
No, they sure didn't.
Like, once
No,
the
they
fucking
sure
was
didn't.
over, like, would a lifelong marriage last between these?
He literally says at one point, I'm worried you only like my penis. And I'm like, she does.
Yeah.
You've digmatized her. She has thrown out all of her thoughts for this dick.
Digmatization is a real thing.
It is. I have been there.
You know?
I have been there.
You're like, I'm in love. And you're like,
Like,
and
10
then
minutes
later on,
you're like, what the fuck?
He's
And
stupid.
you're like, ooh, you're hard again though, so I'm gonna hop back on it.
and then they start trying to talk, and you're just like, shh. No word. You're so beautiful. Shh.
Let me just ride this dick. I'll do the talking.
I did the tucking.
You do the fucking. Speaking of fucking, Beaver, come on.
Okay.
Beaver. Again, it's something that like was funny the first time.
Yeah.
And like I even thought his little gift he sent her, like the beaver with his jersey. I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's too much. Then it just became too much.
Yeah.
Yeti, I was like, it's too much.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
like
I agree. I feel
mouth
like
fucking. I'm like, people don't say that. People.
well, I mean, kink people do
Mouth fucking.
mouth fucking.
But are they talking about making out, or are they talking about your dick?
No, they're talking about fucking like their dick in your mouth to your drooling.
No,
and,
but
like,
that's separate.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
different.
making out.
Oh, no,
making out is not mouth fucking.
No.
Mouth fucking is you're fucking me with your penis in my mouth.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's a good descriptor.
That should have happened.
That shit's good. Sometimes. But mouth fucking is making out. I was like, stop. It was too much for me. All these little terms and like things, and like the descriptions of like food in relation to sex.
Yeah.
it got to be too much.
I just think they didn't have anything in common, and you could feel that as a reader because they didn't have anything else to talk about than those things. Like, there's been times I've had conversations with people and I'm like, okay, I can only stick to these 3 topics because anything outside of this will reveal how much, like, how much we have nothing in common.
Yeah.
So you stick very strictly to that. And that's how I felt about that.
The last term that I want to talk about before we talk about the very, very slight plot of this book is hockey hookers versus puck bunnies. Which one is your favorite?
Well, I like puck bunnies.
I do too.
I think that's super cute, and I think it's classy. And
I think it's classy.
I also feel like it doesn't feel derogatory.
No, I agree.
Or whatever.
I mean, they're both derogatory, but I agree it sounds less derogatory than hookers.
Yes. It's like, especially because they're not taking money.
I know. And also,
I do for free.
Also, like, so she makes so many comments about the hockey hookers and puck bunnies.
Yeah.
It's not even coming from him where he's like, oh, all these girls are sluts. Like, she's the one who's like saying that. And I'm like, there is nothing wrong with wanting to jump on a cock. And if you're really into some person you see on TV, as long as you are not stalking them or like if they're just at a regular bar and you have the chance to hit on them, like, do your thing. If he also wants to have sex with you, good for you. Then you have a nice story. But
Bridget, think about it. Like, what really made her any different than any of the hockey hookers or puck bunnies?
That
like,
her brother was in the NHL.
That's the only difference. Like, so she's had like a one-night stand with him, and she says it. I had a one-night stand with him.
Yeah.
She wasn't expecting to do anything more, and so she very well could have just been somebody he fucked.
Sure.
And moved on. She would have been a puck bunny like the rest of the girls.
She was ashamed of herself.
Like, so you know what I mean. Yeah. So it
makes no sense.
It's just because they ended up together, and now you're not skanky.
Right. She's not a whore. She's my girlfriend.
She's my girlfriend.
She's my girlfriend.
Don't you
talk about her? Watch you talk about her back? Just let me fuck her in the locker room during the game that you want me to come back in.
Oh God.
This entire book.
I want to hear your thoughts on
is
that.
Her being 22 years old.
Yeah.
And he is desperately trying to be with her. He is sending her flowers every day. He is sending her gifts every day. He is rearranging his schedule to be with her. He invites her to meet his parents. He can see his hometown. He is doing all of the things that would indicate, I want to be with you and be in a relationship, not just have sex with you. If you want to just have sex with someone, you text them at 1:30. What, you up? What you doing? You want fuck? Like, you don't buy them literally thousands and thousands of dollars of gifts and flowers because you don't have to. I mean, it makes no sense to me that she doesn't understand that he likes her.
Yeah, well, I thought it just carried on too long. Especially when he finally he's there and he's trying to like say like I want to, and she's like and I'm like, what are you doing, girl? Like,
well, he's just a whore, and I'm like,
and also
what?
I don't like that part of the book, right?
What?
Like, okay, so much slut shaming all the way around.
So much slut shaming.
If a girl want a dick and a hockey player give her a dick, everybody happy. If a girl says she want it, the girl says she need, don't you keep her waiting. Give it to her, please. You know how I feel, Bridget.
Yes.
Okay, so him having like this past. And I also don't like that they wiped it away. They were like, oh, he explained it away that it never really happened. Right. It's like, no, if he could get all this tail.
But also, it's fine. He was 18 years old and he was making millions of dollars. And he should have been fucking.
And nobody said,
safe.
And nobody said, like, oh, he was having unsafe sex or this sort of thing. Right. And the fact that she's like, oh, you slept with me knowing you had this huge past. Like, you did not ask any questions when you guys were banging.
Also, you could have looked up his past on the internet.
Exactly, which I would have done.
And also, wouldn't you be excited if he could handle 3 women in the same night? I'd be like, what's in store for me? What's in store for me? It's gonna be a big night.
Gonna be a good night.
I mean, that's just me. I'd be like,
Bridget,
he could keep it up. He could get it up multiple times,
Bridget.
possibly. He could use his hands, because if you fucking one person and there's 3 people, you gotta be using some sort of hands. You gotta use your mouth. There's other things that are happening. I would have been... Yeah, I thought it was insane that she keeps on with it for fucking ever. I was like, you gotta let it go.
The equivalent to that.
She's 22. But you're a child.
But think about
it. You're doing.
That is really true. Because I'm like 22. I was like, oh God, I was so stupid. But the equivalent would be if he was dating her and she had slept with a lot of guys, and every time he had thrown that in her face. And when you think about it that way, it's really fucked up. It's like, oh, you slept with that many guys, you're slut. You're slutty. I still want to be with you and whatever, and it might be all right, but you're still a slut. Like that.
Like, why did he even want to be with her? She was so mean to him.
Yeah, Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Like, judgment goes both ways.
I agree.
And you both had a one-night stand, and you had very unprotected sex with no testing.
No, she said they used a condom, but she went to get tested anyways because
he was a little sketch. They were about to have sex. They didn't want to go get a condom or whatever, and they did that shit willy-nilly. Like,
the first time they had sex or later?
No, later on.
Oh, but she had already been tested. Oh, okay. I was talking about the first time.
Yeah, but they
later they were like, should I get a condom?
But this is like,
She's
his
like,
tip was in.
I'm on the pill. And I was like,
and he's like, yeah, I should. I'm like, no, you should.
yes, please.
You
Until I see your
should.
test results.
You guys don't know each other. You have no trust between you.
And she thinks he's a whore, so it still doesn't make any sense to me that she would let that in.
It doesn't make any sense to me. There's some things in here I was like,
Okay.
this doesn't make any sense.
I completely forget. Okay, so one of the things that I was most angry about is that he had no respect for her feelings about him at all. He just liked her, and so he was relentless in his pursuit of her.
Yeah.
He, like, found out her phone number, found out all her socials, like, stalked her on her brother's account, which I actually don't think is that bad because everyone does that.
Yeah.
But then he found her work email and emailed her at work, which I was like, yo, not a pro.
That's a boundary.
He went to her work. That's a hard pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass on that. He, like, sat outside her house, which, again, I'm like, that's weird, but better than going to someone's employed office.
Yeah.
Where she could get fired. And that was weird. But what was the reason that she stops talking to him the first time? Because she stopped talking to him 2 separate times.
So the first time she stopped talking to him, she wanted to be a one night stand or whatever, and then she saw his past, like the stuff that he had done. And so that's when she first stopped talking to him.
So it was literally just she didn't give him. She like she was like deleting his.
Yeah,
his
she just
emails,
saw that
his
he was like a man whore online or whatever,
and that was it.
And that was it.
Okay, because I was like, I don't even remember what the first. So
and
there was
like,
there was nothing that happened.
Yeah, no, he didn't do anything. Like, nothing had changed in their meeting of the minds agreement to have this one night stand.
Excuse me.
She got new information. She didn't like it, and so she was like, I can't mess with him.
Which I would say that she's not so far above board that she should be that judgy, because
that's what I'm saying.
She tricked her stepbrother into thinking that he inappropriately felt her up while drunk one time, which I think is hilarious.
Which I had to rewind because I was like,
I thought they fucked or something.
First of all, I
thought he was the original hockey player. Did you think that?
Yeah,
me too. I had to reread that
because their relationship. I mean, it didn't make sense to me why he was so protective of her or whatever. And then they tried to give it an explanation later, like, oh, that hockey player had fucked her over, and he had kind of picked up the pieces and helped her or whatever. Yeah. But I still felt that was really thin.
I
for
thought
how
they
angry
dated.
He kept
and
getting.
I thought he was like secretly in love with her.
Yeah.
But he couldn't be with her because their parents got married.
Exactly. And then I was like, thruple.
I know. Always. Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense, because it would have been better if he was just in love with her secretly. It would have been weird, but I feel like if you are an adult, because they're 22, but like let's say their parents got married at 18, it's not like you grew up being brother and sister.
Yeah. That's how I felt. I felt like they didn't grow up together as brother and sister. So it's like, I'm like, chill out, bro.
Yeah. But also it was fine that he's protective. Also, he's a piece of shit horn dog. He even admits. Yeah. So I guess it makes sense that he would be worried about her dating other hockey players, because he doesn't want her to be treated the way he treats other women.
I mean, that's always how it is. If you ever had that guy who's like always thinks you're cheating or that sort of thing, it's because like he's either cheating or he was like the serial cheater in his last relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
That's always how it works. But Buck, I guess it could set up a plot for like another book if he was like super in love with her, kind of like Fury in The Black Dagger. Mm-hmm. Like if he was super in love with her and it was something he had to get over, and when he was falling in love with someone else, that could be an obstacle. Yeah. I didn't feel like the obstacles in this book were that great.
They were nothing.
They were like,
I mean, would I be offended if someone asked me to move in and then that same day was on national television saying, we're just friends? Yes, but also do I know that they're a public figure and that he already explained he doesn't put out his real private information? Yes, he did. He told you that. Now, was it douchey to not tell you ahead of time? Hey, if someone asks me this question, I'm going to say we're friends because of XYZ reasoning? Yes.
Yeah. Especially because in the text it states he knew this question was coming.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah, so he should have for sure given her a heads up. So she at least was like, at home or at the bar already and not waiting in the same hallway and watching it happen. But also I felt like she got way crazier. Like, I think
she changed her number.
I don't think, yeah, that's insane. And she moved. I don't think it's worth it to always hear someone out.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of times where a hard break is the appropriate response. However, in this instance, if he is spending a literal month calling, texting, driving by, like every single day, you probably should just listen to his fucking voicemail and at least meet him in person and say, fuck off, I never want to see you again, so he leaves you alone. Because at this point, he's clearly not picking up what you're putting down, which is, I don't want to see you.
Yeah.
Even though every person in your life has said that. And I feel like at that point, you need to like be like, hey, Buck, I need you to come with me, and have Buck stand right behind you so nothing bad happens to you. And then you need to say, hey, that was not cool, so I don't want to date you anymore.
Yeah. Well, like, so there's this kind of thing with, I mean, human beings in general, right? This is your body, you control it, you get to do what you want with it. But sometimes I feel like when you enter into some sort of relationship with someone, you are entering into an agreement whether you like it or not, right? So, and then there's some caveats that change that, like the hard passes, like if someone's beating you, like, blah,
Yeah. Bounce.
you know what I mean? I think it's respectful to, if you're breaking up a relationship that wasn't abusive, it wasn't whatever, to give it that end conversation.
I agree.
You know,
100%.
like, it's kind of like,
It's juvenile to just literally give someone the silent treatment.
yeah. I don't believe in that. It's like, when I decided to like fuck you, I decided that at the end of this, I'm gonna give you a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just how I feel about it. So
The conversation can be short. It can just be,
Oh, yeah. It
you
can
hurt
be
my feelings, fuck you.
fuck you.
That's
You know what I
fine. But there needs to be something.
Yeah, and as long as you obviously like not feeling threatened and not feeling like this is going to end poorly that way, but I really felt like he explained to her that he was a public figure.
Sure.
He needed to appear single. This is so stock standard for celebrities and
Yeah.
things like that. And she's
Yeah.
been around hockey for so long.
Yeah.
With her brother in the NHL,
Right.
that I was like, girl, you know the drill.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many times told my boyfriends, like, in public, you don't exist because I need to get XYZ done. And they're like, cool.
Yeah.
And I ain't no celebrity.
Yeah. Totally.
Like, it's just easier sometimes to go out and not have an attachment if you're trying to move through the world as a woman.
Sure.
It's just how it is.
Sure.
So I, like...
I think it was insane.
I thought she
She's
was
so juvenile.
Yeah, I thought she was 22, man.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Like
I wish she had been 26, and then this could have been a more mature response.
yes.
'Cause I thought it was so crazy.
They could have had the fight there. They could have had, like,
Right
you know what I
then.
mean? Like, right then, that could have been the fight
Like,
between
he sees
them.
her face, and they go into the locker room, and she's like, no,
Yeah.
not cool. I'm sorry, I thought I could deal, but I can't.
Yeah.
So if you can't acknowledge me publicly, we can't date.
Yeah.
Bam. Solved it.
There it is.
Solved it. Hashtag you're welcome.
Yeah. She's okay to have the need to
Yeah.
want that. Even though I'm like, girl, he's going to get paid more money if you let him be single. Let him be single. But you know how I like that money,
I know
bro.
how you like that money.
Really.
You like that sugar daddy money.
You know, my sexy word is residual income. You whisper it to me and sploosh.
No, I agree. So it would like, I mean, he makes $8 million a year, so it's like he doesn't need that much more
It
residual
doesn't matter.
income.
I feel like
that-
I feel like the poor kid in me doesn't matter.
I don't care either.
You
I
know,
would have been like, I'm sorry, how much money are you gonna get paid for that? $10 million? Great.
Great.
I will be your hermit fucker in the basement. Thank you.
This'll be
Please
our-
order me food.
we'll be role playing.
Take me out into the backyard sometimes to get sun. What I didn't like about him is that I'm going to give you a quote. This is not my favorite quote. It's just a
Okay.
quote. He said, I get it if you need more time, but I care about you too much to walk away. No, that's not how relationships work. It doesn't matter if you care too much, if she doesn't care also, or vice versa. If that was a girl saying it, like, he has no respect for the fact that I agree with you. I think she owed him a conversation. I think it was juvenile as hell. However, I also think she's entitled to say no.
Yeah.
And you need to leave her alone and stop showing up at her job and at her house.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
Yeah, that's really
Like,
scary.
you're a big ass hockey player.
Yeah.
Like, no.
So you just nailed something, and I don't know if this should be this way or not, but it just is. Guys who are bigger in stature, like, have to be more careful
Yeah.
of how they approach women because
He locked her in an office with him.
but even not even that, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're both standing in a hallway, but she's backed up against the wall, not even like you pushed her there. It's just that she's in the corner.
Yeah.
As a woman, you will feel more threatened in
Heck
in that position. You think as a guy, you're just like, I'm just a guy, I'm having a conversation. And she's like, how am I going to get around him and make sure this doesn't escalate? And I think that's like a nuance that sometimes guys don't understand when they're like big ass freaking like behemoths or whatever.
I know, and it's not fair, but it's also like the same way that I have very large boobs, and I know that I cannot wear certain clothes because they represent separately from me.
Yes.
They represent on their own. They are a separate entity, as this book tells us. They represent something that I am not willing to follow through on. Mm-hmm. And so they cannot come out. The girls have to stay home a lot because it is.
Like, it's not right.
It's not right. It's just fact.
Yes. It's like I told you, man, I don't wear leggings because I have a big ass readers. I have a lovely, beautiful, big ass.
4 times the size of my butt. We weigh like the exact same amount. And my boobs are 10 times the size of yours, and your butt is 10 times the size.
We're like the opposites. Yeah. Like, Bridget has all the boobs. I have none.
Yeah.
And I have all the ass.
Yes.
And if I wear leggings in certain neighborhoods, guys will turn their cars around.
I know.
They will follow me down the
scary
street.
Thing.
It is scary as hell.
Why do people do that? I've had people do that too, and I'm like, that at no point will that ever score you a hello, let alone a date. That just scores like me dialing 911 as an emergency precaution.
You're like ducking into like stores and stuff, trying to like wait
terrifying.
It out. It is really
Who
terrifying.
Thinks that's a good idea? Doesn't make any. Let me just pop a quick Yui. Squeak! You're like, I'm gonna get murdered. Kidnap.
I feel like on the other end, they think like, oh, that's my soulmate. They have to think that intensely about it. I feel like to turn your whole
I think it's
car
animal
around.
brain. I think it's animal.
But that's
brain.
what I mean. Like the animal brain, not like the intellectual. Like,
no, it just
it's like she is
rides
mine
on top of whatever they have any sort of common sense.
I've had so many guys just feel they were so entitled to my body and had to duck and weave and bob and whatever it had to do.
Disabuse them of that notion.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
know, or read them everything about their life.
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
It's like it shouldn't be, but it is.
I do think she feels entitled to touch his penis while he's asleep, which I totally agreed with. I actually thought that was one of my favorite scenes. I don't love that she calls his penis all those weird names, but I have also laid next to a lover and gently stroked their penis so it wouldn't wake them up because I wanted to watch it grow.
Yes.
I think it's fascinating. I was like, oh, that's realistic because I have done that, and that is so funny. And if it was your first uncircumcised penis, I would absolutely, you have to. You got to see what's going on.
The first uncircumcised one, you're like,
is this what penises are supposed to be?
I don't think I even had that thought. I thought something was wrong with it. Like the first one I ever saw, I was like, what? Like, what? Where is it? Like, like depending on the size, like the head is not out.
No.
So it's just that flap that's hanging over. Yeah. And I was very much like, was there a birth defect that made like I had no idea what I was looking at because I hadn't seen it in porn.
Yeah.
Like,
and then when it grows, you're like, oh, hello,
Eskimo Joe. Hello. Oh, look at you, little cutie peeking out.
Papa.
Look at you with that little pink nose. Look at you.
Yeah. I think little pink nose. And she thought it was cute too because she dressed it up later in a little cape.
Oh my god!
Which I thought was so weird.
Which almost suffocated his cock.
She almost killed him. I just thought it was so weird that she dressed him up and tied a little cape around it and made it into a superhero. I feel like it's one thing to like think those things and say them, and it's quite another to literally put googly eyes on someone's penis and put a cape on it.
I feel like I have been that weird person. I'm not going to go into any details, but I will say that I get goofy sometimes.
There was costumes involved?
And that's something that's in the wheelhouse of something I may do, like may have done.
Okay.
So I had to give her that one. I'm like,
okay.
If you have a weird partner, or you have a partner who's just goofy and down for
goofy,
whatever,
I just wouldn't dress it up.
Like,
let's see. First of all, maybe because I'm not
and
crafty.
drawing on it. Absolutely.
Never.
Put a little face on it. You never made.
I've like.
Oh my god.
Talked to it and petted it, but I've never been.
When your husband's asleep, I need you to get a Sharpie.
I would never do that. That's insane.
Let him wake up.
The ink It's on the penis, and then that's unhealthy. But then it's also now going to be inside me, and that's unhealthy. And no, I'm not going to do that. That's so crazy. Also, he would not be happy. He'd be so mad.
So pissed.
Like, he thinks I'm weird enough.
Oh my God, can you please tell the listeners what Leo did the other day when Molly was crying and he couldn't get her outfit off?
Oh my God. So this is not a sexual story. It's just hysterical. My husband is literally one of the smartest people I've ever met. I mean, his IQ is off the charts. He's so quick-witted and logical and, like, very focused. And he also is sometimes just real dumb. and dumb in the sense of one of my friends has the best saying of all time, and it is, look with your eyes and not with your mouth. That's what her grandma used to say to her. Look with your eyes and not with your mouth, like when you're looking for something.
Yeah.
So I say that to my husband.
I thought it was hands.
No, it's look with your eyes. Like, look around.
No, look with your eyes, not with your...
No, not with your mouth. Like, don't talk like, I can't find my thing.
Got it.
It's like, no, just fucking look for it and find it. And so I say that to my husband all the time because he's the king of, like, I can't find it. And it's, like, literally right in front of him or right where he left it. Or it's hanging on the hook that it's supposed to be on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look with your eyes and stop asking me stuff or mouthing off about it. Anyways, so our infant had a poop explosion while Shawnee and I were actually recording a different episode of this podcast. And we came out and I was like, oh, why did you take off her outfit? And he's like, I had to cut it off. And I was like, what? He's like, I don't know how you got it over her head the first time, but I couldn't get it over her head. So I just got the scissors. I had to cut it off. It was an emergency. And I was like, did you look for the buttons at the neck? And he's like, what buttons? And I was like, well, there's buttons. And so, because she has a big head to get her head out. And he's like, I didn't see any buttons. And I was like, but did you look for them? I mean, this is our second kid. Like,
there are like 4 big snaps.
They're huge.
On this outfit.
And
he was cut that shit off.
he was so steadfastly sure about his decision. He was like, I cut it off. Obviously, like, how else would one get a baby out of an outfit? I almost peed in my pants. It's a good thing I do a lot of Kegels.
Yes.
I've been working so hard on my pelvic floor health because I was dying. But that's my life with him.
I literally, it took me 3 seconds for it to sink in what he said because I was so sure that's not what could have happened.
Because it's insane. Because it's not even like she was in one of those, because there are some baby outfits that are too complicated.
Yeah.
And I've been there where I'm like frustratedly like trying to get these little ass buttons out and I'm like, motherfucking buttons, I'm never wearing this again. But like, it was just a regular long sleeve shirt with 2 buttons at the back. I mean, she's literally, it's the exact same one our other kid used to wear because she's just re-wearing all her clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, that man, too funny.
Anyway, I like that segue. I like that tangent because that should just have me rolling.
What about, speaking of parents, how mad would you have been if your boyfriend's mom walked into his room while she knew that you were staying in there sleeping with him and she just busts in and sees him fingering you? I would have been like, we are leaving right the fuck now.
Oh, yeah. Which I think her being 22 is also like explains the response to that because one, the mom deserved what she got from walking in.
Yeah,
he's a grown ass hockey player, man with a grown ass girlfriend in there that you let be in there, and how unwelcoming is it of you to walk into there to not knock,
even if they're not doing anything sexual.
You make Kira knock. She's a two.
Yes, you have to knock.
You have to knock. And so she just busts in. I'm like, you get what you get, and you don't get upset. Like,
yeah, and he like. He told it to her. That was the one time I was like, okay, I kind of like you, because he was like, you can't do that. You don't run my life. That is not okay. You need to apologize.
Yeah. And I think that, like, most people, and I had this with my partner, which is, if that's your mom, like, you snatch up your own mom. It's not my job
100%
to go to your mom and tell her off. I won't do that because the respect that needs to happen there, and that's someone's mom. I can't do it. So you need to snatch up your own mom.
And also, coming from you can be a way different feeling for her than coming from me. I'm an outsider to her.
Exactly.
You're her kid. It has to come from you. Because if it comes from me, then she's going to be like, she hates me. And then that's the way that people get in like horrible disputes with their in-laws. Yeah. Because whichever spouse is in charge of that parent side doesn't put the foot down.
Yeah.
Foot is down.
That was, like...
And they didn't leave. He didn't say like, Mom, she doesn't want to leave because she doesn't want to hurt your feelings, but I'm taking her to a hotel because that was inappropriate.
I thought that should have happened. I thought he should have been like, nope, and scene. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to Airbnb right now. You know,
Yeah.
it takes like 2 seconds to book an Airbnb.
I
But
agree.
like, this was one of the biggest fights I had with my partner, was about him snatching up his mom. Like, I never encountered, I never had like a mother-in-law or like, what do you call it? So everybody,
boyfriend's parents or
yeah, like
whatever.
every boyfriend I ever had growing up had like really racist parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I could never really be at their house, or like I could never, you know. So I never had this like dynamic of having like a mother-in-law type person who I could go and cook with and go do. And I always wanted that so badly, to have somebody I could like,
Sure,
you know,
be a part of their family.
Yeah.
Shawnee is brown, by the way, in
I am
case you're a
brown.
new listener.
and like, and I come from a big family,
You
and
do.
we're Costa Rican too, and like,
Yeah.
you know, so that's a part of the culture, and I really want to have deference to someone's mom, you know. And so my partner I have now is the first partner I ever had whose like mom wasn't just outwardly racist, you know, and she was really nice when I met her or whatever, but very quickly came to see that she would make things up in like her own mind about me. Like, she would be given one like piece of information, like the sky is green, and she would build a world that did not exist off of this, and then come at me and accuse me of things that I'd be like, wait, what? Like, what's happening? Or whatever. And he let that fly for too long. Like, until one day she sent the most absurd 3-page email of like accusations of things or whatever. And I was like, if you don't snatch up your mom right now, like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this whole thing. Cause I believe if like families can't get along, like, I don't want to be in the family that can't get along. From the bat. If it's that way from the jump, I don't want to be there. So like, that was the first time he had to go to his mom and be like, yo, you doing some crazy ass bullshit right now. And I'm gonna need you to have like several seats and take a big ass chill pill. But I have not seen his mom in 4 years. I have managed to not, because that was the last straw for me. I was like, I tried my best. I gave it my all. I won't disrespect her, so I just don't put myself in the same space as her or whatsoever. And I realized,
so hard.
It's crazy.
Like, so Leo's family's Korean, and they wanted me to be Korean. I mean, they have said that to him directly. Before we got married, we wish she was Korean. And he's like, well, she's white, and she's not Korean, so...
Surprise!
And like, and I would like to definitely state that Leo is 100% on Team Bridget. He would, I mean, do anything to his parents. He would never speak to them again if they hurt my feelings or did something horrible to me. Like, if his mom or dad had sent that email to me, he would have lost his motherfucking mind. Like, he is all about whatever it is that I need or our kids need to be happy and healthy. Everything else can go fuck off as far as he's concerned, which is very nice. And also, it's sometimes alarming because I'm like, yeah, but they are your parents and they're our kids' grandparents. So, like, we can, you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
They're not that bad. But it is really challenging. Like, his mom and I had a conversation, and partially there's like a little bit of a language barrier for things. And also there's just a cultural barrier, and it's really difficult. Because I've asked her so many times in the last 5 years, like, I would love for you to teach me how to cook. Like, she knows how to cook all these amazing things. But I think she doesn't believe me. I honestly think she just doesn't think that I want to because I'm not Korean. And I've been like, hey, I'll come over. Hey, and like, obviously I don't do it anymore because I'm like, it's been 5 years. She's never going to do it. But, you know, I would invite them to like see our kids all the time. But they have a lot of like cultural things about like when it's appropriate to come over. And like, if Leo's not here, they won't come, and like all these different things. It's really, really challenging because like I think it would be so much easier if I could just like pop by, drop my kids off, like cook some food with them, say hey, and then like come back. And it's just easy.
Yeah.
Like, seeing them isn't like, oh, we have to see them again. It would be great if with his sister, we see his sister and it's great. But with his parents, it can be really challenging.
That's so weird for me because, like, in my culture and how I always grew up, if my sibling has a spouse, their whole family comes into our family. Like, I know my sister's husband's whole family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how that works. So honestly, I find that dating outside of my culture or even similar culture has been a little bit difficult in terms of how welcome and lovey I feel and able to express
And how they express things.
Yeah.
Because, like, the first Christmas together, for instance, he didn't tell me that they're a gift-giving family.
Oh, okay.
He's like, well, I don't know what they want. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, like, are gifts important? Are gifts not important? Do people give experiences? Do people give physical things? So we did not come appropriately prepared.
Oh.
Which I get blamed for because
Yeah,
I'm the woman.
'cause you're the woman,
Which
yeah.
is another cultural thing that I have a really hard time with them, is that I have to constantly say, if you want to see your son, you have to call him. I'm not going to drag him here. I'm his wife. If he doesn't want to come, then that's on you to repair that relationship with him. That's not my job. And it used to be my job. A generation ago, it was my job to, like, make sure everyone was always invited and bring everyone together constantly and, like, try to smooth everything over. And I've told them, I'm like, he's your kid. It could be my job, and I choose for it not to be, because I am not the go-between between you and your son.
I also think that puts a strain on you and him.
It does,
Yeah,
because why am I going to force... It's interesting, because my mom actually told me that my grandfather did not get along with his family. And they grew up in the Depression, and things were really hard, and there was abuse and stuff in the home, and one of his brothers, like, literally left the family and just, like, never came back again. They never knew what happened to him, because, again, it was the Depression. They couldn't feed everyone, so, like, people were just trying to make a living and trying to figure it out. And he never, ever wanted to see his family, his siblings, ever. But my grandma forced him to go see them with some regularity, because they lived like 25 minutes away or 30 minutes away. And my mom said he never spoke a word in front of them. He would just sit in a chair and not say anything. And I'm like, how is that better? Because they had fights about it.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't want to go. And she's like, we have to go. Because it looks better, or whatever the case used to be.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm kind of like, if you don't want to go, or your parent, I'm not going to force you to go sit with your parents, because then I have to the whole time just talk. I don't know. It's just a very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
It's just very uncomfortable.
I like though that Leo's like Team Bridget. There's
100%.
There's like nothing better than feeling like your partner is like already on your team before you even know you need something
100%.
done. You know what I mean?
Because I know that they say things in front of me, but in Korean.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that's not true. He's like, no, stop.
But
or they say things like, oh, maybe Kira's like so well-mannered because she's the dopest 2-year-old. Maybe she's so well-mannered because she goes to school versus like, and I'm like, and Leo's like, no, it's Bridget. And I'm like, yeah, it's me.
I
follow those parenting guidelines.
I like that. I mean, for me, that's just like the
It's
feeling.
respectful.
It's
like, you chose to be my somebody.
Yeah.
And you better have my back first.
I feel like that part, when you say like partner, it means like it's almost like you're back to back. One you facing one this way, so anything that comes, you're like bob and weave.
And same, like I've had to defend him to my parents, not my dad actually, because my dad loves Leo and they get along great. But I've had to step in and be like, that's not cool. That's not true.
Yeah.
Like, if you're telling people that that's not fair and not true, like I've had to definitely step in.
That's hard.
Put the foot down.
My heart is super open until it's not.
Yeah.
And once those are like iron gates. Once they close, like you're dead to me.
Unlike our heroine of this book,
I love how you brought that back.
You're welcome. Who the gates closed, but little flowers crept through, and then the gates opened back up with his magical dick, which is the only reason she's with him. Let's just wrap up.
At least
he wins
had
the cup. So he does this interview. This is how he apologizes. He does an interview on national television, which, to be fair, she refuses to answer any of the 100 ways he's trying to contact her. So it's really his only option.
Okay.
And so, okay. He tried all the other ways.
Yes.
But also, like, stop trying is probably the way to go. But, okay, fine. So he does this interview, clears the air. Then they win the Stanley Cup, which is a huge deal. I know you're not a hockey fan, but I can tell you right now, winning the Stanley Cup is enormous. When you win the Stanley Cup in Chicago, there is a parade.
Oh.
People lose their fucking minds in Chicago.
Is this like White Girl Wasted type day?
Yes.
Yes.
Like week, month. I mean, people lose their minds.
I
People
love this.
are so happy. The cup goes all down the parade. It goes all around Chicago. If you get the chance to kiss the cup, it's like a huge thing. It's huge to win it. The fact that he bogarts his whole team and organization by telling her he loves her into the mics is, I think, bullshit. If I was his teammate, I would fucking kneecap him. I'd be like, you're an asshole. We just won the Stanley Cup and now you're bullshit romance drama is going to eclipse this hard work of an entire year. Because the cocky seasons are really long.
I have like no frame of reference for this other than like if somebody won an Oscar and like, you know, 5 people go up there, but one person is like, does a marriage.
Monica, I love you.
Yeah. And then they all get played off and they're like, it took us 20 years to win this Oscar.
It's like basically the same thing. It's insane. Anyways, she forgives him. And then he proposes at the end. And I just want to say about the proposal that she finds the ring. He had this whole plan. And I was like, okay, it's good to have a plan. It's going to be romantic. She finds the ring, though, and she's naked on top of him. They're about to fuck. And instead of just putting it in her and then just letting her ride him while he proposes to an orgasm, I mean, that's you got to shift plans.
That's a dream.
You got to shift plans. He makes her put a shirt on and then gets down on one knee. And then gives a lame proposal. And it's just like, will you marry me? And she's like, yes. She's 22. He's 25. He says, oh, we can wait a year or two or however long you want. I just want you to be mine. And I'm like, I don't like it. Anyways, I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the book. So that's all I have to say.
So I mean,
my diatribe.
In fairness, my dad always said like, he was like, Shawnee, you're not gonna get married. You're too old and you know too much. He's like, he's like, marriage is for the young and stupid. And 25 and 22 is right at that age.
Yeah,
where
but I got married at 28, 9. How old was I when I got married?
You weren't over 30. You weren't over 30. 29. But I mean, that's literally what he's always said. And he's right. I'm like, I'm not on this train.
It does take an enormous amount of hope and trust.
Yeah.
I agree.
So the whole thing about him like, I love you and whatever. The one thing I did appreciate when they got back together is that they started like making out and shit. But she was like, no, I need a conversation first. Like, we're not just going to fall back into this. We need a conversation, which I thought was like a grown up moment right there.
Okay.
But the proposal, I was with you. When he kept trying to stop it, I was like, bro, like, you got to go with it.
Roll with it.
You got to roll with it.
She's hot. She's ready.
You know?
Your dick's hard.
And it could have been a really fucking hot proposal scene. I know. Like, it really could have missed it on that one.
I think this entire book missed the boat for me. Yeah. I am going to go on a limb and say I know what your rating is, but tell me what you thought about our heroine.
So.
Oh, my God. You're going to trick me. Okay, I'm ready. Give it to me.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Okay.
I gave her a 3.
What?
Yeah, I did.
Holy shit.
I did.
Dear listeners, do you hear the incredulous tone of my voice? What? I thought for sure you were going to give her a 1. I was convinced.
Okay.
Tell me why.
So I didn't give her a 1.
3 stars is the same as you gave some of the Black Dagger heroines.
They sucked. Well, so 3 is my like neutral rating where I'm just like, meh.
Okay, you're meh.
Or whatever. If I really hate them, then they really get the 1.
Okay.
I didn't really hate her. I thought she was witty. I like a lot of the dialogue that they had and the banter that they had back and forth. I like that she had a good job or whatever. I thought she was kind of stupid sometimes, but like I didn't think that there was enough like bad about her to just give her the most 1. I thought the book in general is a 1.
Okay.
Or whatnot. But I did find her rather amusing. And she got me through the book more so than anything else. And the sex. Like, I liked the book just because it had all the fucking. And, fun fact, because I'm listening on audio, Susie Bright is like the executive producer or something of this. And she writes all the sex, like how to, she's like Dr. Ruth on Audible. She's like the Dr. Ruth of Audible. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. There's a lot of sex in this book.
There's a lot of sex.
Just another note, they teased BDSM in this book and never did it.
That was one of my main complaints. That's going to be my quote. Is that my quote? I'll skip ahead.
Skip ahead. Please tell me.
The first chapter of the book is titled, What the Fuck Makes Violence So Hot? And I was like, oh, it's about to get real. After he's like fighting on the thing, they're going to have like hot, angry sex. And he's going to hold her down and he's going to just get up in that. And I was like, oh, it's going to. Nope, not a thing. The
she
dirtiest.
Was like, put a leash, like talking about getting a leash. Never.
The dirtiest they ever do is have sex in the locker room.
Yeah. In general, it was under the heading of vanilla, which
100% vanilla.
You know, and I was like, but I kept teasing that it wasn't going to be, and I was so disappointed in that.
I gave her a 2 because I did not care for her at all. I thought the beginning of the book was great, and then she's super immature and annoying, and always thinks the worst of him, and her internal sex monologue was not my jam. What did you think about our Alex Winter hair?
I gave him a 2.
Oh my God, Shawnee, you're shocking me today.
I gave him a 2. I gave him a point. He lost the point. He lost a lot of points for me for like going on national television and like denying her without a conversation. I felt like his reasoning was valid, but there was no communication, and I thought that like for me killed it right there. I think also the narrator killed him for me because it made him sound like a weird, awkward bruh.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He gains point for the sex. I mean, I liked him in the sex scenes. I was like, I could very vividly imagine it, and they were nicely written.
Yeah. I liked when he said, I'm going to fuck you till you can't walk. I was like, you can try. You can fucking try.
Hold my beer.
Hey. Already. I didn't hate his dirty talk. I gave him a 1 because stop showing up at people's work.
Yeah.
You fucking crazy person.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to see you. You need to respect that hard boundary and back the fuck off. I did not like that. It happened so many times. I said that he was McStalkery.
Yeah.
And I did not like it. I think he had a nice, they described he had a nice package, but the man's a stalker.
I called him McPuck Me Now.
Ooh, that's a good one. McPuck Me Now.
You know where he really lost the point for me, though?
Yeah.
So when he does the interview, and he, like, declares his love on the interview, it's fine, except he gives her, like, a copy of it. Like, that, I was like...
Give it to her mom to give
jerk
her.
all the way off. Yeah, like, she should have just seen that on her own.
I agree. That's why you did it on national television, so she could see it on her own.
Yeah.
He shows up at her house again. Stop showing up, you stalker. It is so not okay to keep showing up at people's houses and at people's new apartments that you stalked them to find the address.
Well, people
and
keep,
at their work.
People keep doing this, so I wonder how effective it is. It's got to be...
I mean, it's clearly effective. She agreed to marry him.
You know? She's
no.
also 22.
If people kept showing, I would be taking out a restraining order. Or getting I'd be like, look, your career is being athletic. I will kneecap you. Do you want a baseball bat or a hockey stick to the knees? Because I will.
Where's Buck now?
Do it. Yeah. Where's my crazy, does not give a fuck stepbrother?
Yeah.
Who will run you over with his car if I ask him to.
It's always nice to have a family member like that.
Jesus. All right. I'm going to tell you my other line. And I only chose this because I did think that some of their sex scenes were hot, although generally I thought there was way too much beaver talk and yeti talk and all these other crazy words. Why did we have hot, angry sex against the lockers if we could have had it here on this couch? I mean, God, Alex, you could have just bent me right over. And I was like, yep. Yeah, sure could have.
Missed opportunity.
Also, sex against the lockers, though. Into it.
Lowered expectations.
I think it was perhaps not a great time to have done it.
No.
When the game was ending and everyone was going to come in,
Yeah,
including your stepbrother. However, I was into it. You could have just flicked the lock.
You know how I
and
feel
then
about
stalked towards her. The carnal, animalistic. He was mad. But then it was like too gentle still.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I really don't think he unleashed the full rage on her that she wanted.
Yes. And I think that I imagine the locker room in my mind. And so, like, the lockers, it's always like lockers on one side, lockers on the other, and a bench in between. And to me,
it's professional locker rooms, you mean?
Yeah, I have no idea. This is the only locker room reference I have in my mind. Like, it's like school, right?
They're not like school lockers.
Oh, that's what I see in my mind. You know? It's just like...
it's like a really nice room. Like carpeting.
But it's got to have like a bench. That
100%.
That one lone...
Oh, there's lots of benches.
Long bench, you know?
There's all kinds of shit.
I'm like, that's a great opportunity for a good ride.
Seriously.
Like, those are perfect for riding.
I mean, honestly, he could have just fucked her all over that room.
Yeah.
I did not think he unleashed, as you said earlier. He didn't unleash it. Nothing was unleashed. It was, she kept being like, ooh, he's so angry. I bet fucking him is going to be so good. And then it was the same. I mean, it was good, obviously, for her. He was making her come all the time, which is great, and eating her out and stuff. That's nice. But I wanted the beat. I wanted to unleash. You're talking about violence? Like, I wanted the beast. She wanted it. Yeah. I wanted him to unleash. And, like, maybe at the end be like, did I go too far? And she's like, no, you could have gone further.
You could have gone further.
Yeah.
Or, like, you just hit that line. You know? That type of thing. Okay, let me tell you my favorite. I have two favorite lines. Oh. I've been grabbing two now because you be greedy.
So,
one was, So I liked that every chapter had like a kind of like
a funny name.
A funny name.
Okay.
And so this was Violet's leading up into a chapter, which was right after the locker room sex scene.
Okay.
And it was, just because it feels good doesn't mean it's a good idea.
How true. But also, I would not regret that.
No.
I would never regret
It's like
it.
no regrets.
No regrets.
It's like if I knew it was going to happen ahead of time, like how it was going to play out.
I would have gone into the room with a lock and a couch.
Yeah, I would plan differently. But looking backward, I'd be like, no regrets.
Also, I'm sorry. I know that you're doing your lines.
Oh, no, you're good.
But I have to tell you that we didn't even talk about the locker scene. So now I had a thought. Isn't the obvious choice to get her out of there that she leaves with her brother?
Yeah.
I don't understand. She's like trying to climb into a bag and he's like, there's another way. And I thought he was going to be like, you can just go out and say you're visiting your brother.
Yeah.
And I was like, duh. I honestly was like, that is such an obvious answer.
They were not thinking.
Did you not think that when you were reading?
Oh, no, I did.
Okay.
Well, one, I just thought how absurd it was, and she was talking about climbing in the smelly ass bag.
I could see the panic. I could see the like post-sex, everyone just saw me naked and I'm just panicking.
You know,
I could see it, I guess.
see,
It's not my personality, but I could see someone else doing it. They're just like borderline hyperventilating.
It's weird because like there's sometimes where I'm like body shy, and then sometimes I'm just not.
Yeah.
Like at all. Right. And so like it's like going to Wee Spa, like the Korean spa. I'm body shy for like the first 2 minutes I'm there. I'm like, and then I look around at all the bodies that just make me feel good about myself, and then I'm just like, okay, naked time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you feel so
the
good.
body.
If you haven't gone to the Korean spa or any spa where everybody's naked, just
great.
walking around, just do it for your self-esteem. It does great.
Yeah, because
wonders.
also the only naked people that you see are people in the media, and they're people who don't eat.
Yeah.
And they have personal trainers.
Yeah.
And so they are like 8 feet tall and their abs go forever and you're like,
Yeah. And they don't got
look
hip
like
dips.
that. They don't have hips.
Nothing.
Anything. I mean,
You know?
they're tiny people.
I like it. When I go to the Korean spa, my secret thing that I really like is that like everybody has different nipples.
Yeah.
Like so different. They're different colors, different
colors,
shapes, different.
yeah.
And as a postpartum doula, I know this. I've seen a lot of nipples.
Of course.
But in general, at the spa, there's so many in one place at one time
Yeah.
that it's just like wow. And boob shapes, and like you got the ski slopes, the ones that just point back up, like you know.
Yeah.
I
Ski jumping.
The ski jumping ones. You know? Like I just love that. I don't know how I got on this topic.
I really like about going there that everyone there has sex with someone. Most of them. I'll say 80%, 90%. Maybe some people don't want to have sex. But all those people want to have sex with those bodies.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, people want to have sex with my body too. Because you know you're like feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, why would but I don't look the way that other people look, or you're having sort of insecurities and looking in the mirror, and then you just remember somebody wants to fuck everybody. Everybody.
Yo, nothing like
And that makes you feel good about yourself because you're
Bridget.
like, I still got it. I honestly, though, have the self-esteem of a hot man because I look in the mirror and I'm like, you look good today. I tell my husband that all the time. I'm like, oh shit, babe, look at me. I look so good today. I showered. Yeah.
that makes me so happy though.
I was dancing with Kier yesterday and I was shaking my butt and my husband was like, he's like, you're trying to get me? He's like, still got it. And I was like, I still got it. Shake, shake, shake.
That's actually interesting because like I don't have body, like I don't have too many body issues per se.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I ever had was that because I had a fibroid, I looked like I was pregnant for a while. And so now I have this residual thing where I always feel like I look pregnant, even though like my sister one day was like, you don't look pregnant.
I feel like I look pregnant all the time too, but also because I just had back-to-back pregnancies. So I'm like, do I? Oh, no.
It's like this
Also,
little
my
bump.
boobs are even bigger than normal right now, which is annoying.
And also we're always looking down
Yeah.
in this angle.
But you like when you look down, you also hunch, so then your belly comes out more.
Yeah, you know, and I remember one day like having to pick out a dress and being like, "Oh my god, I look pregnant. I look fat." My sister's like, "No," and she took like a picture.
Yeah.
And when I looked in the picture, I looked totally different.
Yeah.
Than I was like seeing myself in
Sure.
real life.
Yeah.
And that was the one time I was like, oh shit. But in general, I think like I'm a hot piece of ass.
I do too.
You know, and like
Slice.
I'm always slightly bloated, and like I will be for the rest of my life. My stomach
Yeah.
just does that, and I also have no torso. I'm like tiny torsoed person.
You do have a tiny torso.
I do, so tiny, big ass and no torso. Like, you know, so I'll always have that. What am I gonna do every day? Be like, oh God, who's gonna love? I'm like, who wants this bump?
I have thick
wants
thighs.
Who wants this thick ass?
Yeah, I got big boobs. Very athletic underneath my chub.
And
And ain't nobody been complaining.
Bridget,
Nobody been turning away.
if you want to feel good about your body, fuck the Korean spa. There's no better place than to either go to a poly group or a kink group.
Okay, tell me
because people more match up. They match up
based
on
their kinks, not on their looks.
Not necessarily on their looks. And you will see some couples that you're like, how? Why? When?
Yeah.
How
and then
is
you
this
realize
possible?
that like she wants to be tied up and treated like a puppy.
Yeah.
And he likes to tie people up and treat people like puppies.
Exactly.
Interesting.
You know, and people are
I
connecting
like that.
with their kinks and in their brains and not physically. Physically is something that follows with everything else. That's how I am. Anybody to me who catches my brain is sexy as fuck. I'm like, your body is hot.
That was one thing at the beginning of the book. Again, I love the beginning when he like knows what book she's talking about and she's like, "Ooh, you just got hotter." And I was like, yes.
He reads.
He reads? A room? A man who can read this?
It's crazy. Yeah. And then every time I go to poly group, I am so shocked because there are these old people in there that they ain't looking their best and their knees and stuff are all broken out and stuff. And they are talking about how they have to fight off people. This old guy who was like, I have too many women who are trying to get on this. And he's like, I can't balance it. And I'm looking at this decrepit looking guy who
just, well, I won't be one of them, sir.
He came out of the crypt. I mean, I swear to God, Bridget. And I'm like, women are fighting to fuck him. I forget it. I will never believe that someone doesn't want to fuck me. If there's a guy who's hot, which I've always done this, but if there's somebody who's hot, I'm always like, you sir are fine. Yeah. I've always done that. Yeah. I need you to know, just in case you don't know.
Clap and go ass.
Guys always come to me and they're like, oh, you're beautiful. Mm-hmm. You know, if they can do it, I can do it. Okay. You know. And sometimes I'm like, I want to go out with you, and they'll be like, no, and I'm like, okay. Like
I say okay too. I always tell everyone it's a numbers game.
Yeah. Guys are playing the numbers game.
You need to play those numbers. Do not. I know we're saying this on a romance novel podcast, but you don't always meet the person. You need to get to that person that you are in the romance novel with.
Yes.
For your happily ever after. You got a numbers game up to that point. He is the number that you pull after you've been chatting up all these other mofos or mofems, as it were, whichever you prefer. And yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to just got to put your juju out there.
That's what I'm saying.
Put the juju out. See what comes back.
You put that energy out.
Put that energy out.
I keep telling your mom that. I put that energy out.
I tell my mom that constantly for the last 20 years.
The other day I'm like, are you dating? She's like, I'm not in the space. I'm like, you got to put that energy out.
You do.
Like when you walk into, I like to see.
When you see older men, you need to like check them out. And
yes.
You look for a ring. You got a ring, you walk. But you can still check him out. Maybe he has a friend who needs a wife.
I mean, at her age, he could have a ring and his wife could be dead.
Valid.
Valid. You know what I'm saying? Like he might just be honoring the memory.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
Like
you can still give a little smize.
Hey, and
smize.
People have friends.
That's what I just said. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed it.
No, I'm with you. I'm on your board. I'm on your team.
But like, do you ever go into a room and you feel sexy? Like you feel ready to just nab everyone.
Yes.
Like who, and you feel like your energy just like seeps into the room
because everyone's looking at you like you're a tasty morsel. And they want to take a snack,
and you're just like nom, 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 nom.
Yes, I have felt that way, and also I'm like happy I'm not pregnant anymore because it's harder for me to feel that way while pregnant. Because I am not one of those people who feels sexy while pregnant.
No, Bridget, she feels like she's gonna kill people.
Yes, I do. Also, I think I was talking to my husband about this. I also think in general it's harder when if you have a partnership, whether you're 2 guys, 2 girls, a girl and a guy, whatever. If one person is going through something, especially something as body changing as pregnancy, and one of you isn't excited, that's tough. And neither of us, we are excited about the children. The process, we were like, we just gotta get through it. And that's tough. Had he been like super stoked about the way my body was changing and the baby and all this other stuff, I feel like his enthusiasm would have rubbed off on my experience of it. Yeah. Or at least would have like lightened it. But because he was just like, I mean, he was like supportive and like, what do you need? And I'll give you back massages and take you to get, whatever. Like, do the things for you. But he wasn't like appreciative of the process. Yeah. Nor was I. So I understand it. I understand. But it was also more difficult because of that. Whereas if he had been like, I still want to like, get all nasty up in there, at least I would have been like, okay, let's okay.
That is quite literally how my family is.
But I just don't care. I'm just like we were both just like, so then it just makes it harder because you're also no longer you don't feel like yourself anyways because you're pregnant.
Yeah.
But also I'm a very sexual person. And so then I was also like double A, like,
yeah,
I don't feel like you want to get up in this.
Yeah.
Because he didn't, which is fair because I got pregnant and had a
gonna
big
poke
belly.
the baby.
He thought he was going to poke the baby. And I was like, babe, your dick is not that big. I'm sorry. And I was like, you're no Alex Winters with a monster cock. You have a regular husband-sized penis that I enjoy. But you ain't not poking nobody. I was like, you would not believe how far up my vagina my gynecologist has to stick her fingers to feel my cervix.
Right.
Your dick?
You're like, is your whole arm in there? Right
Seriously. I was like, that's uncomfortable. Yeah.
I don't, like, my family in general, and again, it may be cultural, when a woman is pregnant, most of the time they're very happy about the pregnancy in their body. They, like, feel sexy, and they're like, oh, I love being pregnant and whatever. Yeah. And, like, the guys are always overjoyed about it. It's like a very, you know, so I don't actually, when you're
especially I would assume in your dad's side of the family.
Yes. Like,
because
they just keep making the babies. And
and it's because the way that they see their friends and mother.
Yeah.
So they see that they maintain that sort of, and the boys see their fathers like still lusting after the moms and still getting down and dancing and dirty. And so that for them is normal. Whereas like, in our cultures, it's
very normal to have sex when you're pregnant.
I think it's normal to have sex. It's just like
it's not a taboo, and nobody thinks they're going to kill the baby.
We didn't think it was a taboo. We just like
no, I know you didn't.
It's more difficult,
you know. But there's some people who do.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was telling me like in their family, like, you don't have sex when you're pregnant, and I'm like, what am I going to do for 9 months?
I just masturbated every day.
Do you know?
That's fine.
Like, that's,
I mean,
first of all, I would love to masturbate with it. Sometimes you don't need them. It's too much work to add them in. You're like, I got this.
Yeah.
I know where to hit. Button 3, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, ding. Like, or whatever.
Did I ever tell you I've never had a vibrator?
Me neither.
Because I'm afraid that I'll never leave my house. We need to get a sponsor on the show that sells them so that we can test them out and then just like lose our minds. Yeah.
Then we talk about it.
I'll literally lose my mind.
Wait, actually, I won over Christmas I think I told you, a basket at the kink thing. Oh. Of like 5 vibrators.
You haven't tested any of them? They're just like at your house?
They're at my house. And an anal vibrator that looks ginormously huge. Like a butt plug vibrator or whatever.
I bet you that feels amazing. I bet you it does.
It is huge. I'm like, how, okay, sure. Like,
I mean, not that it's huge that feels, but the vibrating,
I have a feeling though,
imagine feels great.
So I tried one for a minute, but it's so intense. I think if you're not used to vibrators, they just feel like the most crazily intense
I think I'll lose my mind.
situation ever.
Yeah.
Like, and I think these were all the reject vibrators. Okay. Like, they were like, oh, it's the end of the year. It's a free gift promotion. So there's one like that doesn't have a handle. You're actually holding the vibrator itself, and it's like shaped like a kind of ice cream cone, or whatever. Your hand goes numb, like trying to hold it. Your hand just goes numb, or whatever. But there's 5 in there. I'm like, what do I need 5 vibrators for?
I don't know. Maybe they're like for different moods.
I guess, but I was just like,
I mean, 5 seems excessive considering I've never owned one.
It's excessive, but I do think we need a sponsor. I do think we have to go home, try it out, and then like talk about it.
Okay, we'll do it, dear listeners. We'll do it. If you have any brands you like, let us know.
Oh yeah, let us know.
All right, let's wrap this nonsense up today because I didn't like this book, and I'm gonna choose a review from Goodreads.
All right.
Kawehi Reviews. I apologize if I butchered your name. Got an advanced reader copy. Good for you. She said, I'm so sorry, readers. Please don't raise your pitchforks at me. There was basically no story, no character personality, inkling, or development, and no romance growth at all. I just don't get it. I love and adore hockey romances, but this one was painted with a male protagonist who had nothing going on except his libido, and a female who's supposed to be an intelligent accountant, but acts like nothing more than an obnoxious bimbo adolescent teen.
Accurate.
Accurate.
I didn't like any of the reviews on Audible. Everybody really liked it.
I don't understand. It has 4 stars on Goodreads, too, and I'm like, minimum 3-star book.
I mean, honestly, but because I value the sex in a book higher than you do, like, you like the romance more.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the book more because I was like, yeah, give me some good banging scenes. And they were vanilla, but I still thought they were good. So I was like, that bumped it up a little bit for me.
Honestly, I thought they were frequent. I liked some of them, but it was so much jargony nonsense for me that it was hard for me to like it.
Yeah.
Because I like the sexy time books.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kushil one day on this podcast.
Oh,
Any other
yeah.
Kushil fans out there? But I could not. It was too, even for me. And I love to shorten words, and I love funny words.
Yeah.
It was too much for me to get into the sexy time. Would you recommend this book to people?
No, actually, no, I would not,
I would not.
recommend this book at all.
I said my thing said, "Let's go Hawks," but hell no.
I would. So, okay, I think I told you this. There's a list of books on my Audible that are specifically just like books full of sex for when you need
smut folder.
my smut folder.
Yeah.
And I would put this in my smut
Would you?
folder. I have way better stuff than this, but if
wouldn't.
somebody likes the sex scenes in this and they don't need it to be too kinky, this could go in the smut folder because they get to the sex really fast.
They do.
You don't have to scan through. The goal with the smut folder is that you're not scanning through the
right.
book to find all the sex.
I was okay with their first sexual encounter. I thought it was pretty hot. But I disliked their characters so much that the rest of the sex scenes, I kept being like, this doesn't make any sense that they're even having sex right now. Like, neither of them can be into this. Or at least she can't, because she said she's not, but now she is. And I'm like, she's stigmatized. She's stigmatized.
Stigmatized.
And as we know, you should let your hand be your lover. Did I say that wrong?
Book.
Oh, yeah.
Book.
And as you know, dear listeners, you should let your book be your lover.
And your hand, your best friend.
Don't you get stigmatized.
Don't get stigmatized.
We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Subscribe to our channel to get new episodes, clips, and more.
And click here to watch our previous reviews and author interviews.